So now we've got a basic little villager that will animate walking around. Now we actually need to have physically move. So what I'm going to do, put their scale back to 1. Some teeny tiny. We will scene view. Let's make sure they are nice and flush with the floor. LD. Just an X of 0. Oh, why'd I do that? Right. And X of -4, it's in the floor. So, let's do another thing. With the images, I don't know if it'll let me affect them all at once. But if we say the pivot is the bottom, will. And same for run, the pivots are at the bottom. Then this is at the bottom. And for me that makes sense. If their characters start with their feet and go up from there, it makes more sense. I'm just gonna change the setup of the camera slightly. So it's nicely sort of zoomed in. That can't tell if the floor is normal scale, but the character seems so tiny. Don't know why. Fuck it. We'll scale the map a little bit, I guess. Have the camera set back to 5. Scale the villager up to, say, 5 times. Just have that for now. There. Floor. A little bit larger. So, we need to start moving this bad boy. So, what we're going to do is add a rigid body 2D component, which gives it physics. We're going to say it's a dynamic one, so it will... Wait, no. Kinematic is what we want. Which I think means it'll move if I give it physics calculations, but it won't move otherwise. So we are just setting the stuff up for the rigid body. So I want it to have collision detection. Sleeping mode. I'll have it start awake. Doubt it'll ever sleep, but we want to constrain its Y position for now. Down the line, I might actually have them controllable by physics and stuff, but for now, we won't do that. So we'll freeze position Y so it doesn't fall down. We will also freeze rotation so it doesn't roll about. But I also need a collider for it to work. So we will have a lovely simple capsule collider, I think, if I can make it small enough. The problem is... Oh, I made a circle collider. How... Ignore me, guys. It's a vertical one. Set that up like that. There. Little bit of a wiggly. I think it's just too small scale-wise. Might actually make the image larger and import, but we'll do that later. For now, that's a colliding volume. That is somewhat in sync with its physical dimensions. There we go. So that'll mean we can actually deal with collisions in a sec, but also I think it's a requirement for the rigid body to have a collider. Now what we should do. This might be a point where I actually split this code up, but we want to now be using some physics. We want to set a velocity. Because Unity is built in physics, if I set velocities and things like that, it'll start doing stuff without me having to do much. So I want to say the rigid body. First, we need to assign the rigid body, just like we did with the other components. So public rigid body 2D, R body 2D, R body 2D is equal to get component R body of class rigid body 2D. So now we can mess around with physics. So R body 2D dot velocity is equal. So the way this is accessed, you think it makes sense, right? If I go dot x is equal to x direction like that. Unity won't like it. Because when you access this like this, the way this is set up, if you look, it's hard to show. I'll try if it lets me go to the definition. So, where is velocity there? It won't let me show you because it's actually not code, it's engine DLLs and stuff. So, what that there is, up until then, that's a variable. That's like accessing the x direction. But when I do dot x, what I'm saying and what this allows me to do is view the rigid body x velocity, but not set it. Because it's an accessor. So to explain that real quick, I will show you. Just because it's interesting to know. For people who have a vague idea of code, it might be a little bit confusing as to why I can't just do that. So doing that, that's a variable. But there's special things you can do with variables, like like this. So I can say, nope, that's not what I want to do at all. We can have a get. If I just do that, whoa, maybe that won't be enough. So I need to do that because otherwise it thinks there's something different. So if I do this, then when you access this variable, rather than just say what is the value of this variable, whenever you try and get the variable value, you can have some code, some logic to do it. So I could actually have, say in here, I can actually have return x direction, new vector2 x direction like that. Well, not like that, because that's not how you define a vector2. And then anytime I access velocity, I'm actually just accessing a vector made with the x direction and nothing else. And then you can also have a set. So when you set x velocity, what you could actually do is say x direction is equal to this dot. Like you can set based on the way they're doing it the value. So that's what they're doing with the velocity there. So they don't actually let you set the x value because they are accessing it in a weird way. So weird way me trying to explain shit aside, the way I set the velocity is I have to set the whole velocity. So just like in that bit I just used this demonstration, set that be like that. But I'm saying, so every fixed update, which is every time physics update is called by the engine, will run this code on this unit, and that will What this will do is it will assign a velocity using this vector, which is the x direction, and 0. So it's always going to have a horizontal vector of some kind based on the x direction. It's never going to have a y velocity. Now, if we're lucky, if I'm not rubbish at programming, and I actually set that to 1 at the beginning as well, when we hit play, it should shift it on. There we go. Off it goes. Look it go. Now if we go to scene view, watch as he keeps going. And he's not going to fall off because I'm constraining his position. But we got a dude moving around. Now, straight away, I feel like the speed in which he is actually moving based on his animation cycle makes him look like he's moving really slow. The first thing I want to do, like with the idle animation, I'm going to slow the animation down a little bit. Run that again. It doesn't look so bad, but we want it to be faster. So, what we can do is have there'll be a lot of public variables with me. So I'm cheap and lazy. We're going to have a speed value. We'll set that as 10 by default. And then what we're going to do is multiply the whole vector by speed. Actually, you know what? This should be fine as well. I could multiply the whole vector by speed, but it just looks wrong because I'm saying any vector we apply is going to be stronger than it is. What I really want to do is just make the x velocity faster. Do that again. And he's fucking giga. Let's look at him go. Don't want him to be that fast. Okay, so half that speed. See how he goes. Still giga. But it's because it's set. Alright, so if I say 5. Pretty good. I think what we might do, actually, slow that run cycle down even more. Still needs to be quicker though. I think this is stuff we could fiddle with all day, but probably shouldn't. We'll leave it at 5, and we'll leave his animation at half speed. At least he's now moving around. But he's moving off into the nether. I don't really want that, so let's make a set of walls. Right wall, and call that left wall. I would like both of these to have box. And now Unity is pretty smart, so based on the sprite, it actually creates a slider. It's hard to see if I turn that off. A bit more visible. Now we can use an event so that when this little dudio collides with a wall, he should flip around. We need to go and find an event within the rigid body stuff. Remember this stuff on top of my head. First of all, let's do that. We'll find, hopefully in here, an event. Or the events. Maybe not in this bit. What I want is on collision events Unity 2D. We'll find the right one. Right, so the collision enter is the event we want. So now down the line, I don't even know if this is stuff I'm going to be using down the game. I think I might just have them choose positions in the space and move towards them. But having stuff moving around and fiddling around, yeah, I guess I'm kind of using this as a way to get back into the game development side of stuff. So we'll just do this. So now on the collision, I can actually just do X direction. I want it to flip, but it's an integer. I know what to do. This is how we do smart. So we're going to have a public enum. We'll use this as a separate file, actually. This is how you can do some stuff to make it human readable and do some cool stuff, I find. So if we go into scripts, we'll make a folder. Enums. Script called direction. Now, enums are really simple things. They're basically a way to label a number. That's the best way I could describe it. So, not necessarily numbers, though. But enum direction. That. And then we'll have one direction which is left. And one direction which is right. Now, when you do that, if I hover over, see, direction left is 0 and direction right is 1. But I can actually manually set those values to be whatever I want. So that makes it a bit more human readable. By then, we'll have here a public direction, X direction. Delete that. And then we'll have that. And then we will set X direction dot or pass that as an int. So to explain that, so obviously before X direction was an integer, but now it's an enum. So the code isn't smart enough to know that they're actually kind of the same thing. It wants explicitly an integer. So if I say, if you convert the X direction enum into an integer, it's like, okay, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. And it'll be happy. And then the velocity again, if I tell it to treat that like a number, it'll treat it like a number. And in here, I will say if direction, actually, even better, switch X direction. Case direction. Dot left, break. Case direction dot right, break. X direction is left. That direction is right. We do that. It's a bit more code, but again, it's more human readable. So we say, yeah, in the case that it's facing left. Wait, have I done that the right way around? No, I've done that the wrong way around, haven't I? Yeah. Right. We'll going wild here. Right. So if the thing is facing left, it's when it's flipped. So we do that, that, and that. That's a bit nicer. It's a bit more. It's a bit more human readable. Back to where we were. When I collide with things, I want it to flip. So, switch X direction. Might as well steal that code. So, switch the current facing direction. If we're facing left, then X direction is equal to direction dot right. And vice versa. Also, now that I think about it, I don't actually use delta extraction. So we'll just delete that. The way I figure this out, and we want that enum to be public, so there's not inconsistent accessibility. That should be good. It may not work straight away because it might not register collisions if it's kinematic. I don't think it will, but we'll try. And you know what? It would help if the game view could see the walls, wouldn't it? What am I doing? There we go. Yeah, just go straight through the wall. Where you at, mate? You having fun? Just wandering off. Okay, so what I'm also actually gonna do. Just have a like that. Just keeping the scene essentially more tidy. If I make that dynamic now. Dynamic bridge body is simulated. Don't use mass. Or gravity. We use mass. But we won't use an auto mass. And then we should get what we want. There we go. Bounces off. Bounces off. And already we're fucking with it. Right. I just want to fuck about through it now. Let's just do that. Already, like, this is... As soon as you get physics involved in any kind of thing, it gets fun. I just had more running around a bit. Right, so that works. They'll move around. What I probably don't want is them to interact with one another. So I can do thing with a thing. So I need to change the physics slightly, and I forget where it is. So we need to find it. Project settings. There we go. And in physics 2D, that is horrible. We want to add a layer. Which I get where you can add possibly here. So we want to have a user layer, which is villager. And we'll save that. Set them all as villagers. And then in the project settings, we'll then say villagers cannot collide with villagers. So they won't register events. And I'll just go do their thing. Also for shigs. Right, so we've got 5. We've got 10. Let's get stats up so I can actually... Still CPU frame of 4. Right, got 15. No, we've got 20 now. We have 40. 80. They are all there, by the way. I'm not fucking pranking you. Like if I just do this. Like if we just grab a bunch of random ones. Let's go. See. Oh god, that's the scale. That's not what we wanted to do. But yeah, they are all there. Right, we can get quite a few of these before. Unity really gives a shit, to be honest. Just trying to crash Unity now for shigs. There we go. At that many, that's where it starts to fucking struggle. But still, like, it's just in and out. But you know what? You know what it probably actually is as well? Like if I just Cancel that. I'm gonna do two things just to have fun with this. On start, we will say that speed is equal to random.range between a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 10. And we'll try and make sure Unity crash when it recompiles. Yeah, the main reason that was lagging is every time those things collided, it did a bunch of debug logs. So if I just 5, 10, 20, 40, 80, 160. There we go. Now they're all at slightly random speeds. It's getting a little bit trippy. Let's just keep going. I'm just having fun here. I don't know if you guys are. How many of them there are? I don't know if actually the inspector can tell me at all how many I've got. There'd be a way I could find out, but fucking Christ. Fucked about with that enough. Now have a little dude that will wander around, won't collide with itself.